Hello, everyone. Ladislas Maurice with The Wandering Investor. Today, we'll be discussing, does Panama residency actually lead to citizenship? Because there has been a statement by one of the vice presidents in Panama stating that if you spend just 2 days or 1 day every 2 years in Panama whilst you're a permanent resident, then after 5 years, you are actually eligible for citizenship and you should get it even if you barely spend any time in the country. So we're going to be discussing this with Weeman, who's my immigration agent in Panama. He's helped me obtain residency, permanent residency, create a company, the whole deal. Weeman, how are you?
Good, Ladislas. How are you doing?
Good, good. All right, so Weeman, this is obviously big news because historically it was really hard to get citizenship in Panama. A lot of people are saying, yeah, you can get it after 5 years of permanent residency, but this was just all lies. In reality, you have to live full time in Panama, integrate, etc. But now the government, or some people in the government, are saying that things are changing. So what's really happening on the ground? Because a lot of people are also disputing that statement.
Since the new president administration came into the government office, they saw some not efficient procedures, and then they decided to change that to make some improvement, implementing more, simplifying the procedures, which is making the people more attractive to get their citizenship once they reach the timeline becoming permanent resident. And before, they need to have a lot of ties, not just like the relationship between the resident and Panama. They need to actually live here and spend more than 6 months or over, sometimes years, depending on the criteria of the immigration officer. But now they settle that like people can stay in Panama and travel around. They can stay 2 days, 3 days, whatever they would like to do, and then they can still on the road to get citizenship. And also, they the requirement is also more flexible now.
So, Weeman, you helped me obtain temporary residency first by creating a company. I hired myself. I had temporary residency for about 2.5 years. And a few months ago, I applied for permanent residency and I received it last month. So I'm now a permanent resident of Panama. So are you telling me that in 5 years' time, even if I barely spend any time in Panama, even if I don't really have that many links on the ground, apart maybe from a company and I declare some income there, I could actually get granted citizenship?
Yes.
What if there's a change in administration?
Even if they change the president or the new administration can just take over the offices. So the rules that they made is basically stating by a resolution or a legal document like internally to keep their policy ongoing. So to change that, they need to issue another resolution, which is possible to do it, but it's gonna be more difficult to handle. It's not gonna be that simple thing to do because at the end, it's not just the president need to approve that. Is that involve different directors, ministers, and sometimes even for they need to create in case they need that a decree to modify the rules of policy on the immigration offices.
Does this work only for people who obtain permanent residency directly through the qualified investor visa, which means typically $300,000 in real estate? Or would this also apply to people like me that started through the Friendly Nations visa, did the temporary residency first, and then only converted to permanent residency?
It's gonna be eligible for people they become permanent resident. That doesn't matter what type of visa they apply for, as long as they turn to be a permanent resident and complete the required timeline, they can apply for citizenship.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways you can get residency in Panama. Weeman, can you just give a quick list for people that are from the Friendly Nations visa, so mostly Westerners, and then other people?
People can acquire the permanent residency through or beside of the Friendly Nation visa, they can also do by qualifying investor visa, investing 300,000 by real estate, 500,000 by Panamanian stock market, the Panamanian funds investment, and 750,000 by certified deposit or fixed term bank deposit. And the other type of visa can be apply for the permanent residency. That would be for the economic solvency, which is countries that they are not part of the Friendly Nation visa. The minimum investment required is 300,000 by real estate, or 300,000 by fixed term bank deposit, and also the retirement of pensional visa bank, which is called, can also lead to the permanent residency. They once they become permanent resident, they can also be eligible for the citizenship too.
And how to get that retirement visa?
Proving their retirement or pension income, $1,000 per month.
Yeah, and the Friendly Nations visa is a $200,000 deposit or $200,000 in real estate or creating a company and hiring yourself. And
Yeah,
after 3 years, you can get rid of all that. And then you keep, by that point, it will have converted to permanent residency and you can get rid of your investments.
that's right.
So there are just so many ways to get into Panama. Look, I'm a little skeptical. It sounds a little bit too good to be true. And I know that a lot of people in the industry are saying this will not happen. People are not going to get their citizenships that easily. So they're not recommending it to their clients. I understand that point of view. But, sometimes governments make decisions and don't quite understand the full repercussions of them and then only catch up a few years later and then change them. So maybe it'll work for people that are just good with timing, that catch this early on. Personally, what I'm doing about it is I'm going to be attaching extended family members to my permanent residency, which I wasn't planning on doing, but I see it for them as an affordable call option on Panama permanent residency. So they didn't necessarily want to live in Panama. They were considering it as a plan B, but they weren't sure. This just kind of makes sense now. It's like, well, it's not just a plan B. Maybe you'll get citizenship out of it. And that kind of tips the balance now in terms of them getting it or not. So I'll be doing this personally. We'll see. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. No problem. Permanent residency, plan B, all good. But if it works out for a very affordable citizenship down the line, I mean, this is a huge win. So, I would encourage people to really look at Panama right now. I'm not putting promises out there that it's going to work out, but there's now the possibility of it working out, which before did not exist. This is worth something. There's a monetary value to the possibility of something working out.
Achieving the citizenship in Panama at the end is a good benefit. And also, as a Panamanian, I'm happy to be a Panamanian.
Weeman, were you born Panamanian or did you naturalize Panamanian?
Yes, I was born here in Panama. My parents, they actually came from China in Guangzhou many years ago. I'm first generation as well. So at the end, I'm very happy being Panamanian here.
And there were some changes as well to the qualified investor visa, which you mentioned a bit earlier, 300K in real estate or 500K in stocks or 750K in a term deposit, which gets you immediate permanent residency for you and your family within a month, essentially. There have been some changes that are quite interesting. So you don't have to wait 5 years until you get a passport now.
Oh, yes. Actually, you can get a passport after you find that visa and getting the permanent residency, which is the travel passport. Now, after you apply for the qualified investor visa, achieving the permanent resident, that also can give you now with the new change, the travel passport, which is you have the same benefits as a Panamanian passport, just not listed your citizenship in the document. It's technically a Panamanian passport, but your original nationality or citizenship. This passport is going to be valid for 5 years, essentially. One of the new benefits granted by the new law released by this year on October.
The Panama travel passport is interesting. It lets you travel around the world like a Panamanian. Some countries do not recognize it. This has to be said. So, for example, in Schengen, in Europe, there are some countries that accept the Panama travel passport and other countries that do not, as things stand. So if you go into Europe, you'll have to go into specific countries, leave through specific countries, but not through other countries. But you can still go into Europe easily with that. It does cause confusion at borders, but in many ways, it's a bit similar to the Uruguayan citizenship, the real passport that states your original citizenship still, even though you were granted citizenship in Uruguay. So it's a bit convoluted, but it's a fantastic document to travel around for people that are more from emerging markets with bad passports. This can be a huge add-on. For Westerners, it's a good plan B to just go around. So this is a really, really nice add-on. Theoretically, after 5 years, you should be able to apply and get full citizenship. Look, a lot of promises are being made. I'm personally a little skeptical, but I'm also a little hopeful because sometimes governments do things that are surprising, but these things don't last forever. And I'm actually going to act on it myself for some of my extended family. If you're interested in finding out more about how to obtain residency in Panama, there's a link below with all the different options. Weeman and his team can help you from A to Z with the whole process. He helped me with everything, company formation, corporate bank account openings, personal bank account openings, getting residency, getting the permanent residency, all of that. Also, if you want the list of countries that accept the Panama travel passport, there's a link below that explains which countries within Europe accept it and which do not. Weeman, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you had a Merry Christmas.
You too, Les.
Make sure to download my free ebook, 12 Mistakes to Avoid When Investing in International Real Estate, which you can find on my website, link below, and feel free to follow me on Instagram @TheWandering Investor. I look forward to hearing from you.